Great taste. Sweet. Sour. So good to taste.
Welcome to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss, and we are live at Hy-Vee in the club room for another 60 minutes of delicious radio. We start off this show, just like we've been starting off every show for the last couple of months, with our health coach, Emily Rose Shaw. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that was for me. Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate that. So we're moving into discussing physical activity as an important way to receive nourishment in our lives, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be moving into physical activity and specifically how physical activity relates to eating and to dieting today. And the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, recommends that we get about 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity physical activity. So that's about 2.5 hours of an equivalent of brisk walking.
Oh, I thought you meant talking.
No.
Because that's activity for me, moderate activity.
Yeah. So you're doing that right now, Steve. But they also recommend that we do some kind of strength training at least two times a week. So exercising all the different muscle groups. So whether that's actually lifting weights or yoga counts or doing resistance with our own body weight, such as sit-ups or push-ups, something like that. That's just the recommendation, so everyone kind of knows. And so physical activity is one of four ways that we receive nourishment besides the food that we eat. And there are so many different benefits from exercising. The physiological benefits are it adds years to our life, studies show. It improves it decreases risk of many chronic diseases, and it really helps with weight control and management. It burns calories and builds muscle. And then psychological implications is it really, gives us that sense of well-being. It triggers the release of endorphins, so we feel really happy and just really kind of strong. In general in life, and it improves our memory, and it also affects our eating habits.
That's very interesting. And how does it affect our eating habits?
Well, physical activity and our eating habits, I think, are kind of like peanut butter and jelly. They really go hand in hand if I was going to relate it to food. There's some studies that show that exercising actually helps to suppress the appetite because it affects the hormones that control hunger and also that sense of fullness. And in my experience, if I'm exercising consistently, I'm more likely to want to eat healthy. So if I go for a walk in the morning, I'm more likely to come back and make a healthy breakfast rather than an unhealthy one, or make something at all. So that's another benefit. But just avoid this one pitfall, especially if you're trying to lose weight, which is using exercise as a reward or as an excuse to overindulge. And oftentimes we do this subconsciously. And just as an example, one slice of cheese pizza is about 285 calories, and that equals about 50 minutes of brisk walking. And that really depends on your how much you weigh and how quickly you're walking. But that's just kind of an estimate to kind of think about before you reach for that extra slice of pizza. Think about Steve's nodding, shaking his head. But it's just something good to think about. And then physical activity also helps us sleep better, which in turn can help us not overeat as a kind of an indirect relationship. And I'm going to cover more about sleep in another segment.
All right, I want to ask a question because this is my belief. I'm sure I read it somewhere. I don't know exactly where. But I think that because I don't like half the stuff that you said there about the pizza and about the fact that, if you eat an extra slice, it takes all this time.
I'm not saying don't eat pizza. I'm just saying maybe don't, just listen to your body and, the fullness that you have and just exercise so that, you can have pizza.
Right, but you know my program because you are my health coach, so you know what I'm doing. And based on that, I'd have to be walking like 5 hours a day in order to really lose any weight, but I still am losing weight. So I think that when you exercise, it makes your metabolism, I'm sure I read this, that it makes your metabolism more efficient. And so you can actually eat well, enjoy what you eat, and you don't have to be as concerned. Now, I'm not trying to make anything, say something that's going to put something on the wrong path or anything like that, but at least in my experience, I don't know about other people's experience, I feel like, it's very easy to be able to eat healthy and to eat what you want as long as you are doing what you said, getting a good amount of moderate activity, some weight or strength training, maybe some interval training, things like that, and not be so concerned about that extra slice of pizza.
Yeah, it's true that the rate at which you burn calories is greater, but it's mostly greater directly after you do some type of aerobic activity. If you're getting your heart rate up, then you are going to be burning more calories right after you exercise. But in terms of burning more calories, what's most efficient is to make sure and try to do those 2 days of using weights for your muscles, because muscle burns a lot more calories than fat does. So that's just one example. But generally, I don't like for people to deprive themselves of foods that they like. Try to have things somewhat in moderation, but you have to have a diet that you're going to enjoy, or else you're not going to stick with it. And it's all about the long term.
Right, and you have to have a diet, you have to have an exercise program, all those things that you're going to enjoy, or you're not going to do it. And so obviously we read, we hear about healthy eating all the time, we hear about regular exercise, and yet so many people struggle with their weight. Why is that?
Well, first of all, the diet and weight loss is actually more than a $30 billion industry, so it is a big problem. And about 90% of dieters actually regain all or some of the weight they originally lost. So it says, okay, what we do have a big problem. I think one of it is just our culture, and it gets back to the quick fix mentality we talked about last time. How we want immediate results now, and so we resort to these kind of gimmicky diets that really just work in the short term. Though we may see results from doing something extreme just for a short time, but then studies show that we actually gain the weight back. And so then it actually can damage our metabolism as well. So it's not really the solution. We can't be living on meal replacement shakes and bars our whole life. It doesn't work because we haven't really changed our habits or uncovered the underlying reasons for overeating, which actually a lot of times isn't related to food at all. It's related to another area of our life. We're stressed out from work, and so we eat. It's all tied together. So we have to explore those areas, and then we can kind of find the core of what the problem is and find a solution. There really is no magic pill. The secret is to make healthy food delicious, which I know we do often on this show.
Often? Always?
All the time. And that's actually one of my favorite things. My passions is to make healthy food delicious. I believe that that delicious food equals healthy food, and there's always a way to make it healthier. And another point I want to tie back to physical activity is you have to find a kind of physical activity you enjoy. That is so key. If you love walking, walk. And there's all these different kinds of physical activity now. I just read an article on hula hooping, how hula hooping is kind of coming back. So really just having fun when you're exercising. If there's like sports that you enjoy, I really recommend that people do something they enjoy. And then when you're exercising and you're eating healthy and you're enjoying it, then weight loss kind of becomes a side effect. And you're working to decrease your risk of getting a disease as well. So you're kind of doing both things.
All right, we need an action step.
The action step is to try a new kind of exercise, or try some kind of exercise maybe you did many years ago. Maybe you played a sport. I would recommend, though, if you haven't done vigorous activity in a long time, to check with your doctor.
Like hula hooping.
Like hula hooping is probably fine, but don't go run a marathon if you haven't gone for a run in a while.
All right, that's our health coach, Emily Rose Shaw, and she's with us every week on Great Taste. So, Emily, a couple other things that I just want to talk about. Some of you know that I've been working with Emily for the last couple of months now, right? 2 months? 3 months? 3 months, something like that. More.
Maybe.
Time goes by really fast, yeah. And one of the things that I think is really interesting, and we're going to be covering this as the more weeks go by, is this whole process that Emily was talking about, that weight is not necessarily related to what you consume. I mean, it may have some relation to it, but it's not necessarily related to it. There are lots of other things. And I think that it's a very interesting thing that happened to me that I want to relate, because I don't think I've ever related it on the show. But I actually experienced a change in my entire habits of eating in a very strange way. And that was that I had the flu for 2 days in, I don't know, February or something like that. I can't even remember when. And everything changed after that. It was very bizarre, but it was kind of like some experience that clicked in with my inner metabolism to say, okay, it broke the chain of events that were going on in terms of the patterns I was in terms of eating, and it's been totally changed ever since then. So it's kind of fascinating. It can happen in many different ways if you have something that you're trying to accomplish with your physical health. And I just wanted to relate to that because relate that story because it's just kind of bizarre in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, whether it's the flu or whether it's an intentional cleanse,
Those are much harder.
And this is more forced, I know, but it's kind of like your body, you're setting a reset button that can actually kind of shake things up, and it does actually kind of. A couple days, that is pretty short, but I know that your eating wasn't like totally back to normal right after a couple days. You kind of ease back into eating regular foods, but as far as I think cravings is something that the flu helped you with,
yeah.
But a cleanse can kind of do the same thing where. It gives your taste buds a little bit of a break, and the taste buds, actually a biochemical process happens when you, I know from when you gradually introduce different foods, cleaner foods, you begin to notice the subtle flavors of fruits and vegetables more, and you don't require all the sugar and the salt. You can put on some herbs and you're satisfied with the way the vegetable actually tastes. So that's one thing that could have occurred in some kind of way for you too.
And I want to just reiterate what you said in a different way, and that is something that anybody could try, which I found fascinating, is that try eating foods that you normally put things on. Let's say a potato that you might normally put salt, butter, sour cream, cheese, all kinds of things on, and try eating it plain. And this is an exercise that really allows you to taste that food and see what it really tastes like, because so many times we're just covering up the foods that we eat. And it's fascinating, and if you do that for a couple of days or longer as you try a different food, I think that that's one of the things that can actually be very beneficial to getting on a program of healthy eating. For me, it certainly was, because I don't even know if I had ever tasted a lot of these foods by themselves in my whole life. I couldn't remember tasting them, but it was wonderful to actually eat a potato and taste it plain, just as after it was cooked, and the same thing with certain vegetables. And that allowed me to just gain, I think, a little bit deeper appreciation for the essential food itself before I started adding more stuff back onto it again. Yeah, you got to. That's just the way it is. So thanks again, Emily. Okay, we'll see you.
Thank you.
All right, so Jan Swinton is here, and Jan is our local food coordinator, and she has something that she's excited to tell everybody about, which is the brand new edition of the 2013 Local Food Guide.
We did it. We printed it again.
Well, I didn't have anything to do with it. You did it.
We did it. The whole community did it. So on page 21, I passed these out in the room already, so everybody kind of has a copy. On page 21, we're talking about farm crawls, and our first farm crawl of the season is coming up on the 4th of July. So we talked a little bit about that last week. We've added a winery to that farm crawl, and so the Cedar Valley Winery, the one right out here on the highway heading toward Des Moines.
Oh, that's great. And the Farm Crawl show is next Wednesday. Actually, we'll have number of the farmers here on the show, and maybe you could invite Cedar Valley. That'd be awesome.
Be here. Yes, it's Penny Morgan at Cedar Valley, and she will be here. And also, the next page after that, 22 and 23, is farmers markets in the area. We're working in 13 counties now, and we have 22 farmers markets. So it's very exciting. One that I hadn't found out about until this year, there's one at the Riverside Casino. Who knew?
Awesome. That's a great place for a farmer's market.
The parking lot of the casino on Sunday morning. Parking lot of the casino has a really lovely farmer's market. I've been there now.
How many people are on their way this Sunday? And there you go.
Who knew? So there's a lot of interesting information. We did get the same front pages about our vision, mission, and goals, and that is the vision and mission and goals of most of the food systems in Iowa. We're trying to expand local food production so that you guys can all have fresh local food to eat every day. And so the local food guide covers 13 counties, the whole of southeast Iowa. Take a look there when you're traveling and moving around a little bit in the state, and there will be farmers and farmers markets that you can visit as you move around. So take a look at those guides and see what you can find. It's a lot of fun.
Let me ask you, how is your greenhouse project going?
We're actually meeting tomorrow with the engineers, and at the plant we're working in the back of the Shas Voorhees property, and we'll be putting up a 96 by 34 foot greenhouse. Our community has a community transformation grant for Jefferson County, and they're putting the chain link fence up around it. And we've talked to the Iowa Prison Industries, who make the wonderful signs that are out on our interstates, and we're putting a sign together for that. So we have all kinds of partners and stakeholders here. It'll be a lot of fun. All of the food that'll come out of that greenhouse project will go straight into our school system. So not necessarily just Fairfield, but other school systems, but it all goes into the schools. It will not be a competitor of Hy-Vee or a competitor of the farmers market or anything like that. This is food for schools. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's a really cool project because the reason we're doing it there is they have big hot ovens that they are constantly trying to cool the air before it goes out into the particle remover or the cleanser part, and the air comes out at 1,200 degrees out of their furnaces in there. And so we're using some of that heat, putting it into an old DOT 10,000-gallon tank underground and putting it into water underground, and then that will serve as the boiler. And so that boiler then will circulate that heat throughout the greenhouse. And this is where I need engineers. We're working with some engineering students and interns, and also with Lonnie Gamble out at the Maharishi University. And they're helping us figure out what the capacity needs to be for that. And the problem we've run into is that they close down for 48 hours every weekend. And so on the coldest day of the year, where it's 10 degrees below zero, and they're closed down on a Sunday afternoon at the end of the 48 hours, can she still do it? Are we going to keep it warm enough? So
it's not a problem. I know I see some people in here who have a lot of hot air, and we can use them to help.
Should come out Sunday afternoon and do jumping jacks in there and breathe a lot. We'll work on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Jan.
All right.
That's great. You're listening to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss. 60 minutes of delicious radio coming to you live from the Hy-Vee Club Room. And I think we should move into our next segment, where we have two students from the Indian Hills Culinary Arts Program with us, Kelly Kinsler and Savannah Strode. And we are I did that, didn't I? I did it right. That's great. Well, I'll tell you, they're going to pay me more next week. And so I think that I'd like one of you to come up here, if you can spare a second, and tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing, or what you're going to be doing, because I'm just going to be talking, which is my usual activity.
All right. Well, today we kind of went with a picnic theme for you guys. We're going to be making two types of potato salad, some lemonade and limeade, and also some buffalo dip. So we have a lot of tasty things in store for you guys.
And as part of that, you're going to teach people how to make mayonnaise at home.
Yes, I am. I love making mayonnaise, and I love showing people how to make it, so I'm pretty excited for that.
All right, so what's up first?
I think we're going to get started on the potato salad.
Okay, so what type of potato salad? Because there's so many different types, and I'll bet people here have their own recipes that they love to use, so tell us what you guys are going to do.
I think the first type of potato salad we'll go with tonight is our German potato salad. There's no mayonnaise in it, so it's kind of healthy.
Kind of healthy.
Yeah, kind of.
What makes it not kind of healthy?
There's still sugar in it and So
I'm sure you don't dump it in. I think there'll just be a little bit.
just 2 tablespoons, no big deal.
Okay, so that's good. So German potato salad. Now, we're going to make it, traditionally I think it usually has some type of pork in it, some bacon, that type of thing. We're not making it that way, but it's something you can add, right?
Yeah. Bacon, you don't really need it. It just adds a little bit more flavor to it. So
All right, and then what's the other type of potato salad you're going to make?
our loaded baked potato salad.
Oh, that sounds good, and it doesn't sound healthy, so tell me about that. Oh, she's got so many things that she has to talk about. She's going to get some notes. Go ahead.
Well, it's really flavorful. It has a lot of fresh herbs, and it also has ancho chili powder in it. So it's not really spicy. It's just kind of a
Smoky, a little smoky?
a smoky taste. There's shredded cheddar cheese in it, which is delicious, especially in, potato salad.
And we're using Milton Creamery cheese, so local cheese.
There's also mayonnaise in it, which we'll be using the fresh mayonnaise that I'm going to make.
You can make mayonnaise out of using many different types of oils. We're going to use safflower, organic safflower oil. Safflower doesn't really have any taste to it, and because of the fact that a lot of people use oils that really aren't too wonderful, but safflower will be great. You can use olive oil. It'll have a much stronger taste. The mayo will, and it also have a slightly different color probably. So we're going to use the safflower. When you say loaded, so it's loaded with cheese. It's loaded with what else? What else is it loaded with? Let me look here. Okay, so it's got, I see. It's got Dijon mustard, chili powder, paprika, salt and black pepper, cheddar cheese, scallions, chives. Oh, looks really, really good. I guess you could add bacon to that too if you wanted to.
Yep.
We're not going to. Okay. Okay, that's great. So I'm going to let you get back to that. And then isn't there some other strawberry type of thing that we're doing? I don't think I heard about that. Come on up here and tell us what that's going to be.
Yeah, we're also making a strawberry limeade. It's just got the strawberries, some lime juice. It's homemade, not stuff you'll find in a can, so it's going to be delicious.
And one of the things that I was talking about when I was talking with the girls about what we were going to do is this dip. Whose dip is that? It's yours, right? And it's one of your favorite things, right? And I said, well, let's do the same thing like we're doing the mayo. Let's teach everybody how to make mayonnaise at home, and let's also teach them how to make ranch dressing. There's no need to buy bottles of ranch dressing. Make it yourself.
Right. Yep. We're going to do that for my dip, too. This is actually a family recipe, so don't tell.
Now, we're going to serve that. Oh, we forgot the chips. We have to make, we have the chicken, but some people may, does anybody not eat chicken here? Oh, okay, so one person. You can go get some chips if you want to. So it's fine, you can get them off the shelf, it'll be fine. And we'll pay for them. Anyway, because we want you to have some chips, whatever chips you like, you pick. They're your chips, you can do whatever you like, because everybody else is going to eat the chicken. So, Are you going to make that chicken? What type of method are you going to use to make the chicken?
I'm just going to do your normal breading procedure for the chicken with just the flour.
What is your normal breading procedure?
Well, you take the chicken and then you dip it in flour, and then you put it in an egg wash, and then it goes back into the flour so it gets that nice crisp texture that you want after it's fried.
And is the chicken, is the flour seasoned in any way?
Yes, the second batch of flour that I'll dip it in has salt and pepper in it.
That's great. I remember, it's so interesting. Everybody has their own different methods and things that they use to really make their batter wonderful. And one of the things that I love to do is use buttermilk, because I think buttermilk adds a real good flavor. And we're lucky enough to have Kelowna Supernatural buttermilk, which is real buttermilk as opposed to the stuff that you find at most stores. So it's really great. That's another thing that you can try. So I'm going to let you guys get back to work, and I'm going to ask Bev Merson to come up here because it's time for Cinnabites, though she's playing with her computer. I'm not sure what she's doing. And hopefully she can get her act together and show up pretty soon. But meantime, I want to tell you about one thing that's coming up this Sunday. So when people listen to the broadcast, it's already over. Forget about it. So this Sunday at Green Building Supply at 11 a.m., I want to encourage everyone to come out and to tell their friends to come out, because Chef Matt Steigerwald of the Lincoln Cafe and Lincoln Wine Bar will be there. And also there will be Carl Blake. Carl Blake is he's definitely the most famous pig farmer in Iowa, and he may be the most famous pig farmer in the United States. He recently battled with, in a fun way, of course, he recently battled with on Comedy Central with, who am I thinking of because I'm forgetting it, right now? with not Jon Stewart, the other guy, Stephen Colbert, and they had a little fun messing around. He's been featured in the New York Times this year. He's also was featured on Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern on the Travel Channel. So it's not usual that we get people of this ilk in town. So really come out at 11 a.m. and enjoy listening to them, along with a couple of people from a local cast, Michael Havelka and several others. And the topic is sustainability and sustenance from the farm to the restaurant to the home kitchen. So that's 11 a.m. at Green Building Supply this Sunday, June 23rd, which will be passed by the time people are listening to this. But I wanted everybody to know. One other thing that I want to mention. Oh, you ready? I am. Oh, that's great. Coming up in a few weeks, we're going to be talking with Lauren Mandel, the author of Eat Up, the inside scoop on rooftop agriculture. So that's going to be a fascinating show, and it'll give you guys an opportunity to learn about, especially if you're in the big city listening, what you can do on top of your roof. All right, Bev Merson is our cinema. What are you? You're our critic, right, for food? You're not a critic. You're an informer. You're going to inform us about food in the movies, and you are going to actually be talking about one of my favorite food movies.
Mine too, Steve. And in honor of our two lady student chefs, I decided to review Mostly Martha. Mostly Martha is a foreign film. It's a German foreign film, and it's about a workaholic top chef who works in an upscale restaurant in Hamburg, Germany. It's totally a food-centric movie which will fulfill a food lover, I say, in every way. The film opens with Martha describing to her shrink the most delectable, exotic meals that she creates. Her sessions with her therapist are always about her gourmet meals. The next scene, we find ourselves in the upscale restaurant where Martha is the head chef. Perfectly set tables are seen with crisp white linen tablecloths with huge matching linen napkins and crystal wine glasses. Then we're brought into the most organized stainless steel kitchen, and there are close-ups of skillful cutting techniques, infused waters with every kind of herb, and even the zesting of a lemon starts to look sensual. An exquisite plate of dinners. And you can always be sure to find Martha chilling out in a walk-in fridge whenever she finds the frenetic activity of the kitchen too much. Martha runs her kitchen with precision, timing, and incredible logistics, and is considered the best chef in the city. She leaves work for a few days to deal with her sister's sudden death and takes on her 8-year-old niece.
One second. Are there any spoilers in this?
There are.
Uh-oh. We have to talk about that. I'm not sure I like that idea, but go ahead.
When she returns to the restaurant, she's confronted with a new sous chef who has music blaring. Staff is dancing to music as they work, laughing and enjoying, completely opposite from Martha. Martha, of course, is very territorial and is not accepting of the new Italian sous chef. His style is completely not Martha's. At the same time, Martha's also concerned about Lena, her niece, who is living with her and is in shock from losing her mother and will not eat. She has no choice but to bring Lena at night to the restaurant and finds Lena's place sitting and sleeping on the counters in the bustling kitchen. It is a sight to behold for any food lover to watch Martha and Mario, the new sous chef, cooking with copper pots of all sizes, mixing, braising, stewing, sautéing, tasting, and plating. And you are further drawn in with Italian music that is perfectly chosen for this delectable scene. It's all so sumptuous. However, tension continues between the chef and Martha, and she makes it clear to him that it is her kitchen, she worked hard for it. Mario lets her know he can work anywhere but wants to work there because it's an honor to work with her, but he wants to work where he's wanted. In the kitchen, Mario has grief-stricken Linda smell basil, sits with her on a counter, and he is making such a big deal of a spaghetti dish that he's eating, then cleverly hands Lena the plate to hold. After he walks away, Martha finds her niece stuffing her mouth with the spaghetti and is eating actually for the first time. The ice is broken between Martha and Mario.
How many people have seen this movie? Only 2 people. We're not going any further. That's it. It's just
Well,
it's
actually,
just
I'm not going that much further.
okay. All right.
Believe it or not. So I want to just tell you the Nook. We're talking about the food highlights. The niece cooks up a plan with Mario to make a meal for Martha on her day off. A home picnic dinner party takes place in Martha's living room with golden grilled eggplant and squash, the greenest asparagus on an antipasta plate, pastas, and the music makes it all so fresco. When Martha finds out that her niece is sleeping in school classes, she tells Lena that she can't come to the restaurant anymore for the nights, and a whole new drama unfolds. The rest is for you to enjoy. Hopefully this has whet your appetite. The charming movie is like dining in a 3-star Michelin restaurant without going anywhere. All your senses will be saturated with mouth-watering food, a sweet romantic comedy, and sensual music, and another great taste from Cinebites. And Steve, you're wondering why my computer's here? I'm going to show you, because this music is done by composer Paolo Conte. He's an Italian singer and composer, and he's known for his grainy, resonant voice. And with this is some of the music from Mostly Martha that really draws you in and gives you a whole feel of the movie, a whole feel for the food. So please, would you let me?
All right, where's your speaker?
Here we go. Here we go.
Is it all the way up?
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Now I got to go see that movie again. Bev, thanks so much. Really, really excellent. I highly recommend that you see the movie if you haven't seen it, and watch Mostly Martha. It's subtitled. We'll call it the American version was called No Reservations with Angelina Jolie, right? Huh? That's what you saw. No comparison. Absolutely. It wasn't that bad, No Reservations. I mean, it wasn't good, but it wasn't horrible. But when you see the real, it was Angelina Jolie. Oh, Catherine Zeta-Jones. That's right. Catherine Zeta-Jones, right. But when you see the real movie, the original, it's quite extraordinary, actually. So, and you have something planned already for our next show or not?
I do, and since Jan says there's going to be, or since you're bringing in the farmers next week, I thought I would talk about king corn.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. King corn. Sounds like a great idea. Thanks, Bev. All right, so I want to find out what's happening here, because I know that there's a lot going on, and we need to tell people how to make these things so that they understand. So give us some insight. You're doing something with this German potato salad.
Yes. I am mixing the dressing that you make and the potatoes together.
All right, what's the dressing?
It consists of 1 tablespoon all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons white sugar, 1/3 cup water, and 1/4 cup white wine vinegar.
Okay, do you have to do anything to it, or do you just put it all together and then you start to mix the potatoes in there?
You let it cook until it's really thick, and all the sugar and flour is dissolved and not grainy anymore. So.
And the potatoes, you have done what to them prior to that?
I peeled them, chopped them, and boiled them until they were tender but not falling apart.
And do we have to use a specific type of potato?
No, you don't. It doesn't really matter what type of potato you use. It's just up to your preference. So.
And what did you use?
We used organic russet potatoes.
Okay, so russets. I love russets. They're great. I think red potatoes would be good in there, too. And if you get some baby reds, you don't even have to bother peeling them, I think, because that'll be a little pretty, actually.
Yeah, it would be.
All right, so now I'm curious. What are you actually studying right now in your particular culinary classes?
Well, actually, we have moved on to the bakery side of the culinary program. So we're basically, actually, at the moment, we're learning how to make quick breads like banana bread and apple bread and things like that.
All right. Now, who's going to Spain? One of you is going to Spain. Kelly's going to Spain. Okay, so you're going to Spain like in a couple days?
On Friday. Got to leave at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Are you clapping because she's leaving at 3 o'clock in the morning? That's so bizarre. We get the strangest people in here for the show. Anyway, so what are you going to be doing?
Well, I've heard the first night we get to spend the night on the beach. I'm excited for that. And then
you mean like on the beach?
Yes.
Like in a sleeping bag or something like
no. We get to hang out on the beach, but we'll stay in a hotel.
Okay.
I know one night we're going to be staying in a cave, which I think is pretty cool. There aren't any restrooms there, though. So we were warned to use the restroom on the town.
This sounds like a great trip.
And then every day we're going to have a Spanish class in the morning, from what I've gathered. And then we're going to have a cooking class with the chefs over there. And basically we get the afternoons to ourselves.
Okay, so I just want, the last student that went didn't do what I asked them to do. So I'm going to give you this assignment, and we're going to see if you get it. Because I was told by a couple of the different chefs that have come over that they were going to send back some pine nuts for me. So I'm waiting for my pine nuts because they said that Valladolid and the area right around there is like they have the best pine nuts in the world there. So we'll see if you show up with those pine nuts.
I'll try to remember.
All right, that'll be great. You're listening to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss, and we are in the midst of 60 minutes of delicious radio on Crew FM. Anybody have any questions for these ladies right now? I'm just interested, or for Jan Swinton, you can ask them. A couple of people were interested in making mayonnaise. When are we about to do that? Is that coming up?
I'm about to do that right now.
You are about to do it right now. All right, so let's talk your way through this.
Okay, well, first of all, you're just going to take an egg yolk. You don't need the white. It'll give it a weird consistency, and it probably won't work. And then you just kind of whisk it for a little bit.
So this is one egg yolk,
Yes.
and you've got it basically in a stainless steel
Yes.
little bowl, and you've got a whisk, all right?
You're just whisking it a little bit to get a little bit of body to it, I guess is what you would say. And when you get it to where it's foamy and
You can show people in the mirror, actually. Of course, you can't show the people that are listening, but you can show everybody who's here.
whisk it until it's like yellow and frothy and foamy. And then you're going to slowly start to add your oil.
Now, can you do that at the same time as you whisk, or you have to have another pair of hands?
I've learned that I can do it while I'm whisking.
I want to watch.
It's more challenging, but I can do it. You're just going to want to start with a slow drizzle, and you're going to want to let it build up.
Hold on one second. Can you see this or not? Can we move a little bit forward here? Okay, that's good.
About a cup.
Total cup of oil with one egg yolk.
Yes.
But you're actually pouring it in just a few drops at a time.
Yes. You don't want to put too much in, or else it won't work out. It'll be broken, I guess is what they would call it. Which is just when the olive oil, not the olive oil, the oil isn't incorporated into the egg yolk.
It doesn't emulsify properly.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so this is the technique, is just to continue whisking and continue putting a few drops of oil in at a time. So it's a little time consuming, right?
Yes, it is. And you'll get your workout when you're doing this. It is a lot on the arms to do this. So
now, of course, you can cheat, right?
you can use a regular mixer. You don't have to do it by hand if that's how you like to do it. But I like doing it by hand. It's more involved and fun.
Now you can use a hand mixer. You can use a regular mixer. You can also use a hand blender too.
Yes, you can.
So it's really easy to do this. But I love the fact that what you're saying is that you get more involved in your food. That's a great thing. And can you see it's already starting to emulsify? Really interesting. So that it's. Can you show them a little bit? Yeah. So it's already starting to emulsify. Really, really nice. Now, are we going to add anything to this after you've finished?
You can add salt and pepper or any kind of seasoning you want to make it taste like however you want it to taste. I like adding garlic to mine. It gives it just that extra flavor. And I
Fresh
really like
garlic?
You can use fresh. I've never used fresh, but I usually use garlic powder.
I think some of that ancho chili powder would be really good in there too.
That would be good.
The question was, can you do it with 2 eggs and 2 cups of oil?
Yeah, you can. Yep. Our chef taught us a different way too. He used like 6 egg yolks to 1 cup of oil. It's more rich that way.
I'd say it's more rich. 6 egg yolks to 1 cup of oil, and we're using 1. Yeah, that's definitely more rich. All right, we've got a question, so hold on one second here so we can hear what you have to say.
So is there any other way of mechanizing? I think I've done it in the blender before. Does the blender not work?
I've actually never done it in a blender. Really, the only way I've ever made it was by hand. That's just the way they taught us in school, and that's just the way I've always done it. So
I think it'll work fine in a blender. It's just a question. We can't hear you because you can't yell, and it doesn't work that way because you don't come often enough to know the rules. Speak.
Can you add? You can add egg yolks, but not necessarily more oil.
Well, you do add. You're going to add. I know. She said that Chef made it with 6 egg yolks and 1 thing of oil. But if you don't want to make it that rich, I think you would probably use the same proportions.
yeah. You can add as much oil as you want. You can really only get about equal amounts, 1 egg yolk to 1 cup, incorporated into it correctly. So
It's very, very interesting. So all in all, how long do you think this process takes?
probably a good 5 to 10 minutes
I
to
think
get
we've been
all
at it already 5 to 10 minutes.
It takes a while.
Yeah, so you have to keep incorporating it before you add more oil until it actually looks like it's all come together. In other words, you can't add more oil until the oil that you've already incorporated is essentially emulsified into the mixture.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that's really interesting. You've got to really be focused and take your time to do this. But it's beautiful. It's a lovely color already. So with this particular mayonnaise, what are we going to use this for?
We're going to use this for the loaded baked potato salad and the homemade ranch.
Okay, so for both. So before we actually do, let's let everybody have a taste so that they can see exactly what the difference is between homemade mayonnaise and Hellmann's, because I think that'll be very interesting for people to see. So, all right, are you both in baking right now?
Yes.
Okay. And when you're over in Spain, I'm wondering, do you know exactly, are you going to be doing simply pastries or all kinds of different things?
Oh, what was the question?
When you're in Spain, are you going to be learning many different types of cuisine, Spanish cuisine, or are you just focusing on one type of, like baking or pastry, or are you going to be doing? Oh.
Yeah, we're going to be focusing on just about every part of it.
So you're going to have lessons on basically, are you going to be meeting with the different chefs who have come over before? We've had Juliana Ranz on the show before, for example, and I can't remember her name right now, but she was here in the winter. She's a mycologist who owns a restaurant. What was her name?
Fatima?
Fatima, yeah, that was, yes.
Yeah, we're definitely meeting up with Fatima. Chef Gordon loves her. They've got a past. Not... Yeah.
What you were gonna spill some secrets or something? Is that what was going to happen? I wasn't sure. So okay, all right, that's fine. That's no problem. Not like that. Okay, all right. So go back to what you're doing, and we'll pick you back up. We'll pick you back up in a couple of minutes. So what's the first? I see something over here that is going to be used in one of these dishes. What is that? What the heck is this? Because we didn't make this. What is this?
That is Frank's Red Hot Sauce.
Frank's Red Hot Sauce, okay, and it's going to be used in?
My buffalo dip.
And so you need it for the heat.
Yes, you can actually use any kind of hot sauce, but it just doesn't have that flavor that Frank's gives it. So.
And what kind of flavor is that?
It's more on the Tabasco side, but all I know is it's Frank's.
And so, but that's interesting because what you're saying is it's different than actually Tabasco or anything. But you could try different ones, and you can see what really works for you to do this. So this is in the actual buffalo dip.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So that sounds great. I'm looking forward to. Anybody want to try this straight or not? No. Okay. No. Hey? Yeah, on the rocks. Yeah, we could do that. Oh, you know what? We should do that. That's a good. I'm glad that you brought that up because you could use that in making a Virgin Mary. You can make your own Bloody Mary mix, and you could use Frank's Red Hot Sauce. I think in that would be really nice. I would enjoy that actually immensely. All right. So anybody have any plans for 4th of July? They're going to make something really interesting because if they are. I think that we're going to actually, on the 4th of July show, which is actually the 3rd of July, if you're here live, what you're going to do is you're going to get the benefit of nut burgers from Deborah Williamson. Does anybody remember Deborah? Deborah had 24 Carats in town many, many years ago, and she also had Small Planet. And so she's going to be here on the 3rd of July making her famous nut burgers, and that's going to be special because she's not she's willing to share her recipe, which is great. So next week, again, the farm crawl, and then the following week, the nut burgers with your nutty host and Deborah Williamson. Okay, so how's the mayonnaise going, huh?
Well, it's coming along.
It looks like there's enough for one sandwich about right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so there's nothing else to the technique. That's really it, So I'm going to ask, because one member of our audience came to actually learn how to do this. So it was pretty simple, right? I mean, there's not much to it.
Oh, I'm really eager to try it at home.
Yeah. And what kind of oil do you think you might use?
I don't know. I've never used safflower.
You could use safflower. You could use grapeseed. I mean, real grapeseed oil you wouldn't want to use because it actually tastes like grapes, but the kind that you can really buy is so refined it doesn't taste like anything. So one thing I wouldn't suggest you use is canola oil because it has a lot of inherent problems with it, besides the fact that it is mostly genetically modified. Which reminds me that there's an interesting show on, again, it will have played because it's actually on while we're talking, which is some kind of it's the Food Awards or food. What's the name of it? It's the food. Yeah, the like the Food Awards. The major prizes given to people in the food industry. And somebody suggested that I watch it, and so I looked it up to see, and I noticed that it was started by a guy who was the founder of the Green Revolution. And I don't know if many people know about the Green Revolution, but the Green Revolution is a very strange name for something that introduced chemical agriculture to Africa. Very strange. Anyway, and in the program that's happening this evening on the air, an award is being given to two developers of genetically modified product from Monsanto. So it's a very strange, and so I politely said that I wasn't really interested in seeing a food award show that focused on that type of thing, because I can't even understand how anybody could give an award for food in that. It's a little strange to me. It doesn't even make any sense. Oh, okay, somebody's. I won't mention it, Robert, but I understand exactly what you're saying. All right, so Great Taste is brought to you every week at Hy-Vee live in the club room, and we always have the show plays the following week on the air. So no matter what Wednesday, any Wednesday, it doesn't matter. You can either come live and listen to the show and watch it here in the club room, or you can listen to it on the air at 7 p.m. But always remember that some people have gotten confused. They started listening to it on the air, and they've come over and they go, wait a minute, that's not what was playing. So we're always delayed 1 week. Now, what's happening here? I want to know what's happening in the oven, because there's something there. It looks like potatoes are in the oven.
These are our potatoes for our loaded baked potato salad. We just baked them off after we cut them into about 3/4 an inch cube. Not too big, just perfect enough so you get good bites.
Well, so the interesting thing is, usually when I make potato salad, I'm boiling the potatoes, but you're actually baking this for this.
Yes.
I thought that you were just calling it a baked potato salad, but you're actually baking it. So you've cut bites of potatoes and you've baked them at what temperature?
350.
350 for about how long?
Probably 20-25 minutes.
And you're testing them. Did you test them with a fork or what?
Yes.
And what kind of consistency are you looking for?
Just tender, so that way the fork will just go easily right into them and then come right up.
All right. Now I see that we have one. This looks like, is this a finished product? This the German potato salad is already finished. And so we want to go over, this is very pretty. It's got the green onions in it. And so it looks really nice and green. And I want to just tell people again what was in it so that they know. It was 4 potatoes, 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of white sugar, 1/3 cup of water, 1/4 cup of white wine vinegar, 1/2 cup of chopped green onions, and salt and pepper to taste. And the first step is to bring that large pot of salted water to a boil, add your potatoes, and cook them until they're tender but still firm. That's going to take about 15 minutes, and drain them, cool them, and chop them. Then what you're going to do is you're going to add the flour, sugar, water, and vinegar to a skillet and cook it in what type of oil are you cooking in oil?
I use the safflower oil.
Okay. Okay, so good. So cooked it in safflower oil until it's thick. So that's the dressing part. And then if you want to, of course, if you wanted to add bacon, you would cook your bacon separately and maybe use the bacon grease actually to cook it. But then you're going to add it all together and stir until everything's coated, and you're going to make sure that it's heated well through. So that's perfect. That's that. And your mayonnaise, this is great. Is everybody seeing this now? It's really getting more more and more full. Now for the baked potato salad, oh, thank you, since I put it over here. Here we go. The ingredients: 4 Idaho potatoes, washed, baked, and peeled, cut into 3/4-inch cubes. A tablespoon of chives sliced, and those are fresh chives.
Yes.
2 tablespoons of scallions, 4 ounces of cheddar cheese. I wonder, would it be better to use like really sharp cheese? I guess it depends what you're looking for.
It really depends on your flavor profile, what you like to taste.
Okay, so a half a cup of sour cream, 1 cup of homemade mayonnaise, a half a cup of creme fraiche. So we're using sour cream and creme fraiche?
Well, we're supposed to, but we're just going to add a little bit more sour cream to replace the creme fraiche.
Okay, so the creme fraiche is going to have less of a tang to it, so maybe that tones it down a little bit, but the sour cream, this will be a little bit more tangy. 2 tablespoons of basil, is that fresh?
Yes.
Half ounce of lemon juice, 2 teaspoons Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon ancho chili powder, a teaspoon of paprika, and salt and black pepper to taste. And all you're going to do is prepare the dressing by mixing the sour cream, the creme fraiche, mayonnaise, lemon juice, basil, and Dijon mustard with the ancho powder, paprika, salt, and black pepper. You're going to mix all that together, and then you're going to fold in the potatoes and the scallions and the chives and the cheddar cheese and adjust the seasoning. Now, I noticed that you could also do something with the potato skins. Are you actually, can you bake those off too and make them nice and crisp and then add them in? That sounds really good.
You can do that, but we chose not to do that for this segment. So.
How would you prepare those skins, though?
You would just bake them and, well, yeah, you would empty them out after you took them off a potato. You would bake them. I would put salt and pepper on them just to make sure that they have plenty of flavor. Bake them for maybe 10, 15 minutes just till they're nice and crisp.
And would you put them under the broiler at the end to get them a little crispier?
You could do that. It would also probably give it a little better flavor, too.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice. So I like that idea, actually. I've never done that. Has anybody done that? Put potato skins back into their potato salad, crispy potato skins? I think you could sprinkle them on top when you serve it. That would be really something delicious. Now, one thing I'm anxious to know, ladies, is that when is that chicken going to get on? Because it's not on yet, and I'm kind of wondering, about it. So I want to know how. Hold on, we have a question, but I want to know. I really want to ask. Do you, when you're preparing the chicken to use as your homemade chicken strips rather than actually buying chicken strips, are you buying boneless breast of chicken and then are you actually pounding it out? Or are you cutting it thin? And you can answer that in just 1 minute.
No, it's not a question. It's just about those dried potato skins. You can crunch them up and make them like fake bacon.
Great idea. Especially can you put some nice seasoning on it?
Thank you.
Yes, you are. That's terrific. I love that suggestion. Really, really good. So let's find out about how we're going to prepare those breasts. Kelly. Kelly is going to answer that. Okay.
All right. Well,
she's too busy with her mayo.
Yeah, she is. It's coming along though.
Yes, it looks really great, and I know she doesn't want it to break, so that's why she's really focused on it. Could you put it under the mirror for everybody to see? Okay.
All right. Well, we actually started off with 2 chicken breasts today, and I just sliced them up. I didn't pound them out or anything. You can if you want them really thin, but I just did 1/4-inch slices, and just as long as you want. Just try to make sure they're even so they cook evenly.
Okay, so that's really important. You got to make sure the slices are even so they cook evenly. How long is it going to take those 1/4-inch slices to cook?
Oh, not very long. I'd say less than 10 minutes. As long as it's brown and crispy on the outside and cooked all the way through. You want to make sure your juices are running clear when it's done.
So we were talking about this last week, actually, and the input that we got from the chef who was here was you've got to, if you're not familiar with cooking chicken, you've got to use a thermometer because otherwise you're just taking a risk that you shouldn't take.
Yes, exactly. Some people cut them open. The risk of doing that is you lose some of the juices and your chicken will turn out dry. So we prefer to use a thermometer.
But you're not going to use a thermometer.
No, I don't believe I need one.
I love that. Okay, so that's funny. I like that.
She just put some lemon juice into the mayonnaise. Is that part of the mayonnaise recipe or is that part of the potato salad recipe?
Okay, we're going to find out.
The lemon juice, we can either use lemon juice or water. We use that if our mayonnaise gets too thick to where it's hard to whisk. It breaks it up a little, but not to the point where it's disintegrated and you can't use it anymore.
So, okay, Savannah, I just want to understand this clearly. So you added some lemon juice because it was getting too hard to actually whisk it.
Yes.
Okay, and so that's going to alter the flavor a little bit, right?
Yes, but not much. A lot of mayonnaises actually have lemon juice in them for the flavor, so.
Okay, so are you finished actually with this mayo right now?
I doubled the recipe so we could have enough for both things that we're using it for, so.
I have a feeling we may not get to taste it by itself because there's not a whole lot of mayonnaise in there. And this took about at least 20 minutes, don't you think? Everybody's shaking their head like, you think I'm really going to do that at home? Are you crazy? I mean, that is not happening. Now, how many times a week do you do this? Because it's one of your favorite things, you said.
I actually don't do it very often anymore. I used to do it 2 or 3 times a week when we had to make it for class. I don't do that anymore, but...
I think it's really interesting because actually, if you read anything about Thomas Keller, who's one of the most famous chefs in the United States, one of the things that you'll find is that he actually, one of his very first jobs, maybe his first job in a kitchen, was to come in and make the hollandaise sauce. And I think he did that for it could have been even 2 years where he made hollandaise. So every day, basically, his attitude was that today he was going to make the best hollandaise sauce that he ever made in his life. That's the kind of dedication that it really takes to be a top chef. This is a profession that requires amazing attention to detail in all shapes, ways, form, and a lot of perseverance. It's not something for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
That is so true.
And I'm sure Chef Gordon really pounds that into you guys.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I love this mayo, though. It's beautiful. And I'm going to just take the side of the bowl here, just so. It doesn't have any salt in it or anything yet. So I can tell that it's on its way, though, to being absolutely wonderful. Let's see, I just want to remind everybody again that next week on Great Taste we'll have our farm crawl show. There'll be a lot of local farmers here, so it'll be very interesting for all of you to meet and greet your farmers if you haven't had that opportunity before. One more time, mentioning that Jan Swinton, who's our local food coordinator, is actually going to be, she just announced that she's engaged, so congratulations again. We're so happy to always have you here. And thrilled that your husband-to-be is actually going to be moving to Fairfield, which is great. Yeah, he's a farmer, and they're looking for a farm, so if anybody's got any leads, be sure to pass them along to Jan, because that'll be great. Also, 1 week after the Farm Crawl show is our 4th of July show, where we'll be learning how to make nut burgers. So, anybody with any comments, any questions for our 2 students from Indian Hills before they actually run away? Because you can ask.
She doubled her recipe. Did she add another egg yolk?
Well, we're gonna find out. You doubled the recipe when we weren't looking. Did you add another egg yolk?
Yes, I did.
Aha, she did. So 2 egg yolks, 1 egg yolk to 1 cup of oil. That's basically what you're going to do. You've been listening to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss, and this has been 60 minutes of delicious radio.
Great taste. Sweet. Sour. So good to taste.